as long as I have someone to show me how to do that or like help me in the process, I will be good at that. So I'm not afraid of anything. And I think that just comes from experience. I don't think at 25 years old, I was equipped to understand that life is going to knock you down repeatedly. Like once you get on a groove of something, there's no guarantee that it stays. So when my life kind of blew apart at 27, 28 years old, I was not equipped to handle that from a standpoint of myself, conversations with people around me. Like I just internalized everything and it was me versus the world. And that's the most dangerous thing for me because I can get very good result when I can shut everything else off and just focus on me. But being that well-rounded individual that can do it for yourself and then shut it off and be there for other people, that's probably been the hardest shift for me is being a well-rounded person that also has like finite missile-like aim. That's probably my biggest struggle still is how to balance it all.
Robin Hood and Little John are walking through the forest, laughing back and forth at what the other one has to say, reminiscing this and that and having such a good time.
Thanks for being with us today. It's the Front of Center podcast, FOC, with me, Brian Trainer, my brother here.
Hello, guys.
Tyrel, Bubba Trainer.
Yep.
Yeah, just that redneck.
Back in it. It's been a minute.
Yeah,
long September.
Yeah, it's October. We get to come back in studio again because everybody was in the woods for a month, right? And so
that was the coolest part about the email when you asked me about doing it, or the text message when you asked me about doing this. It's like, we're going hunting, so I'll get back to you after season. And then it's like, I get it. I totally understand. So this is
like that's pretty much it.
Yeah.
And when we are home, you got to just be home, because you're taking time from the family and kids.
Dude, it's so easy to just get that phone call where a buddy's like, hey, you want to come help, or you want to come hunt, or you want to do this, and it's like, your heart says yes every single time because you want to do it. But yeah, man, you got to cover those bases and kind of qualify your ability to go. You know what I mean? But
absolutely,
I guess just to give people who I am. I'm Brandon Lilly. I work with Sorinex. Outdoors. Kind of my claim to fame was I was a pretty good powerlifter in the day, and that was my introduction to Sorinex and strength training through them. And I blew my knees out in 2014. 19 surgeries, career ender, but it was actually a career starter because I talked to Bert and every other sponsor had kind of just bailed. Like if you're not going to be the man, they know that, and they don't want to put money behind that. So no hard feelings there, but it just more to shed light on Bert. I talked to him and I said, look, man, I don't think I'll ever be that guy again. So I don't want you to put your money into something, supporting something that I know I can't be. Dude, if you have a job, I don't care if it's cleaning the floors. I don't care if I have to move here. I don't care what I have to do. I just need a job.
Yeah.
And his honest answer was like, I really don't know exactly where you fit, but that makes sense to me. We'll figure it out. I know you're working. So him and Nelson sat down and gave me a job, and here we are. So it's been an up and like not up and down as in good or bad. It's like there's been points where I was like, I'm definitely doing this, and then there's points where I'm like, I'm waiting for the next thing to do. But we've always figured it out and always just kind of kept the wheels moving forward. So that's how I know you. That's how we're doing this at all today. So I tell everyone that Bert fooled everybody into, Sorinex is a human strength and conditioning, but it's also human performance, which to me, the overarching cloud is like the human experience. And Bert is the nucleus of that. And he doesn't like to admit that, but Bert is such a great guy on the heels of Pop being such a great guy. That it's like all Bert has to do is just find those new people that add to the fold, maintain those relationships, and he does an amazing job. He's one of the best.
He is, man, and he you don't see that generationally happen very often, which is like it's a nod to Bert.
Like you see an exodus from that. Like I've got to take it to this level or the next level, and I think Pop was on enough of Bert's page and Bert was on enough of Pop's page. It's like what we're just seeing is what Pops would have done with another 20, 30 years. I don't think we're going to see anything radically different, just radically better.
Absolutely. And it is hard for somebody to come out. I think what the benefit was is Pop started it in 1980. Bert would have been probably 2. I'm trying to think how much he's a little bit older than me.
Like 2 or 4, something like that. Between 2 and 5.
Yeah, right. And so I think Bert had to grow up You know what I mean? Pulling the hard level of a drill press, or you know what I mean, holding steel for his dad. And so he didn't just step into this. Bert was part of that journey, which I think then created that gritty, grindy piece of him that goes, you know. And Bert told me one time, we were talking about business and some of the other stuff I do, and he goes, you're the last bullet that'll be fired if that thing's going down. He goes, that's you need
Right.
to remember your position, right?
Yeah.
So it's like you're the last man standing on the ship, and you will die with it.
Anytime that I feel like I need to just be reminded of the Sorinex compass, like when I'm out here in the weeds, kind of trying to figure out the next avenue or the next person or whatever, and it's like, what do I need to remember here? What do I need to think about? And this story is one of age, so it might have a little bit of embellishment and a little bit of game of telephone type to it, but I don't care if it's not true at all. The story inspires me, but I do believe there is a heavy, heavy amount of truth in this. And it was essentially that Pops had made some, like not exercise equipment, but playground equipment for some schools because he was actually in education for a while. So he
Yeah.
had done that, and that evolved, and he had always been making behind the scenes some exercise equipment. Well, somehow or another, he puts in a bid to do the University of Kentucky's weight room, and wins the bid. And this is like the unveiling, I believe it's of the Nutter Center. I think it's still the Nutter Athletic Complex. And, this is a ribbon cutting ceremony at like noon on Sunday. If they were not done with the installation by the time of the reveal, they would not get paid. And it was just like this, and they didn't actually get to start installing until like 24 hours before. So it was like everything had to be in, everything had to be perfect, everything had to be wiped down, every bolt screwed. And I guess the story goes, and maybe there's a picture too, but there's a picture of Pop with like, he's either got weights in his hand and like stacked up under his arms, or he's rolling a wheelbarrow full of weights and he's carrying plates under his arms. And the guys that were helping him are like laid down on the field, like they passed out. And Pops wheels it in and gets the bid and gets everything done on time. And to me, that's Pops. Like he was going to get it
Yeah.
done by any means necessary, no quit, no how. And from Johnny, the guy that's just an amazing kind of fabricator, designer, thinker, to Nick in the back that's overseeing the shop, to Josh in the HQ sales stuff, overseeing that, Ricky upstairs, they're like, Bert has brought the people in that embodies that kind of mentality. Like, this is impossible, but we're going to do it anyway. Like, we did that UFC Performance Institute down in China with that cloud system. And I mean, again, this might be embellished as well, but I'm going to tell it because it's awesome. The only way we agreed to do that was on American steel. So I think some of the only American steel in China is on that Sorinex UFCCI. So that's again doing the impossible, right?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, I love it. And
that's the hell of a company to work for, man, because of the people. Like we are a human experience company more than anything, and we just trick people into getting strong.
Yep.
That's so awesome.
Yeah, it's such a good culture. You walk in there, and you want to change the culture of your company back home for me, right? And I know that a lot of those men are training people come in, and what flavor are we rocking this morning, Lily? We cinnamon, we minty. Oh yeah, citrus, baby.
And sixes. I got 2 of them up there right now.
Yeah,
I got
you
a 12er.
You would.
Yeah, you would.
So I had like sort of like one of my, I don't know if it's an attempt. I know I'm lying to myself when I say I'm going to quit. I know it.
Yeah.
I don't do much else. I don't really drink much. I'm not, it's just, this is my one little thing. And I was like on day 3 and I'm on a date with my wife and I'm downtown Fort Collins here. And bro, I'm not really a 6 is a lot for me. Like I'm a 3 guy.
Yeah.
And there's this chick pulls out and I'm like craving one bad. You know what I mean? And this chick comes out of the restaurant and pulls out a Zen out of her pocket. I'm like, maybe I'll bum one off of her. I'm just really Jones. And you know how it is, like right after you get done eating this, like steak or something like that. And you're like, oh man, the very next thing you want is, and she pulls out 9s. And I'm like, look at her, and she doesn't know I'm doing this. And I look at her, I'm like, I ain't got that kind of mustard. You know what I mean? Like this chick kicked my ass, man. She's ripping 9s, and
Dude,
I
go ahead.
felt like a girl, such a little lady.
Oh, dude. Well, I'm still really bad because like this is awesome for this, or this is awesome when I'm in truck. It's like There's no mess, no frills, no nothing.
Yeah.
But when I'm outside, like if I'm hunting, it's Copenhagen. If I'm shooting my bow, it's Copenhagen. Like I still can't get away from that taste. Like I love that taste. I used to work in tobacco growing up, so I mean, I remember the first time I was really given anything to try. And again, I'd probably absorbed a ton of it just through stacking and hanging the tobacco over the years, because you'd always come out with those tobacco boogers in your nose, like this black inside your nose.
I know the same thing from. Hey, it's the same thing, just with alfalfa. Yeah.
So it's like, you're covered in this shit. But this old timer, he came up and he always had twists or the press plugs, and he's like, "Get you a little rip off that." Well, man, this was like right after lunch, and I'm 11 or 12 years old, and this was the kind of the world that I grew up in. I worked on a farm with a bunch of immigrant workers. The morning shift would be, we'd get there early. And a lot of people, do you guys have breakfast at Dairy Queen?
No, I don't think so.
Let's talk more about that in a minute.
Breakfast at Dairy Queen in Kentucky is like legit Waffle House light. Like you can get anything and everything, and it's banging. So they used to have these sausage twin packs, which is a twin pack of sausage biscuits for $1. So the farmer would go down there, he'd get 4 coffees in his little tray, and he'd get like 10 packs of those sausage biscuits and just hand them out in the morning. Jelly, ketchup, mustard, whatever you want to get. Once the Mexican workers' wives would bring like a big bowl of and burritos and pulled chicken and just insane. And then at night, the farmers' wives would bring a potluck of like open-faced turkey sandwiches or open-faced roast beef sandwiches. So we were eating like kings. But kind of like the attaboy of the day or a good job. Keep in mind, I'm like 12, 13 years old. They grab you just a Budweiser. Hey, man, good job. Have that. But they never would give us any tobacco because they had to keep working. One beer wasn't going to kill us, but man, you get sick to your stomach over chewing tobacco, you're fucked. So anyway, we're getting ready to hang in the barn, and this is a steel top barn. And I'm in the top rafter, so I've got to hang the one below me and hang the one at my face. So I'm pulling up and doing this. I've got this big shoe in. It's 100 degrees under that roof. I'm getting all that dust in my face, and I'm like bending down, and I'm starting to get like the whoa kind of thing.
Oh yeah.
I pulled one up, and it was kind of heavy and slipped, and I caught it, and I just and it straight down the tobacco leaves, straight down on everyone, and that farmer was looking up, and it just smacked him right in the face. That was my first time on tobacco, and they just called me Peachy after that. They're like, "Peachy, get up the barn. Get up the barn, Peachy. Get on the wagon, Peachy. You ain't dipping, are you, Peachy?" I mean, it was just, but yeah, so here I am today. It's in the blood.
I know. It's
but dude, I went through a thing with drinking. I know you said you don't drink much, but I'm like a good time drinker. Like I don't drink a lot of hard liquor. I'll sip a bourbon, maybe 2. Beer is like one of those things. 12 o'clock, you're gonna wash the truck, have a beer, finish it up, have a beer. 2 o'clock in the afternoon, ball games are on, have a beer. And like by the end of the night, you've had half a case. You've never been drunk. You've just felt like good, and it's just been one after the other. So I have to be careful on that. Like I'm just, once I crack the first one's too many, and 30's not enough. So it's like, but as long as I'm having a good time, I'm not somebody that's going to pound until I'm just like inebriated. I just keep a beer in my hand and just keep sipping it, So 2 or 3 weeks ago, I took, I guess it's been a month ago, I took like 3 weeks with no beer. So it's like, I always kind of check myself on that stuff too. Just like, is this creeping in? Because it runs in my family,
That's
so
cool.
I have to kind of keep a pulse on things.
And that's kind of where I'm at too. I think it's, I don't know how you handle it, T.
I love the good time.
Tyrell's a good time.
I went to a wedding a couple weeks ago.
I have a hard time having a bad time.
Yeah, exactly. And a couple weeks ago, drank more than I have in a few months, and it was fun, but it hurt. It paid, and just I don't know.
Do you smoke any cigarettes at all?
I vape.
Yeah. I probably have 5 cigarettes a year, but they're good ones.
Right.
It's like you're a couple buddies, and it's one of those bourbon nights, and like the bottle's going away no matter what. And then it's like if somebody pulls out a cigarette, there are a few times that there's a cigarette better. I love talking about on a health podcast or like a pro like best life podcast, but
No.
dude, that's
Yeah.
part of what's made my life fun. Is like some of those nights where it's like you did get a little bit too drunk, or you got a little too crazy, or you smoked a cigarette with a buddy as he's fucking filling his heart out. Like I wouldn't trade those things for another year of life. I mean, that sounds crazy, but like life is the amount of life in it. You know, it's like some of those moments are irreplaceable. So I don't regret it. I just got to do a little better.
Yeah, just kind of limit it. You know, the vaping is a lot like the Zins. You know, it just made it convenient. You know, and you don't stink. You don't.
Sure. They smell good.
But nothing beats a good old cowboy killer. You know, in the alleyway, late night.
Filtered camel, just light them up.
Yeah,
I know
exactly.
that's one of Tyrel's favorites is like him and his army buddy when they were doing the medic thing.
Yeah.
They were competing for this Army's Best Medic, and they had their big layout of all the gear they needed. And I saw like a little pack of what'd you have in there? It was like
some American Spirits or something.
American Spirits in there, and the
That's
gear.
the go-to for me.
Yeah.
If I ever buy a pack, it's this is gonna tell how good I am. I always get the menthol American Spirit. So I keep it hood. You know what I mean?
But it is just so right. I had lunch with a guy yesterday, and it was his birthday, so I had a couple beers with him, which I never do at lunch. But I didn't have anything going on that day; it was fine. And you know, he had gone to his doctor, and he was kind of asking the doc, like, "Hey, you know, how about this? How about that?" And the same with like a cigarette here and there, and the doctor basically said, like, "Man, I'm not sitting here trying to tell you not to do all this stuff." He's like, "There's so much stuff in our food that's bad for you. There's so many things that you can eat, and all the ways you can go down." He goes, you know, if you're stressing about that all the time, like that's worse for your body to be all stressed out and trying to control everything than it is to have a cigarette here and there or have a couple bourbons here and there. Like it, you know, and I've known a lot of my great grandparents and all of them pipe in their hand every day, you know, throwing horseshoes. You know what I mean? Like my great grandpa lived, I think it was like 93, you know, and he lived a good life, you know, and dude, you'd eat over there and it'd be like dinner. Grandma would pull out a ham, feed me more, and then it was root beer food after that. And then grandpa's smoking a pipe, and you're going, you know, they ate good. They ate what they wanted, and they lived forever, man.
Well, you know, that's what I saw in those farmers. I mean, there's a guy that I really loved. I loved working for him. His name was Mason Rodas. He had two twin boys that were in their 40s named Gary and Larry Rodas. And Gary had a glass eye. They were on like one of those independent wrestling circuits. It was like they were in high school gyms for $10 a head, you know, kind of thing.
Yes.
But they always had to sit on the end of the tobacco sitter because if they sat in the middle, because it was a 4-man sitter, or they sat one apart, they would fist fight on the sitter because of who could do it faster, or who could do it better, or who didn't spill any dirt or whatever. It's just a constant competition.
Yeah.
But their dad, these are two big fat guys. I mean, just kind of like husky, you know, they're very, very capable men, but they're just husky. Mace, if he turned sideways, he didn't make a shadow. You know what I mean? He was just a skin and bone kind of guy. He would set tobacco in friggin' road gear. You know what I mean? Like most guys are going like slow so you don't miss anything. He's like, you boys better keep up. And if you missed any, he'd make you walk the row back and set it after he was done with the field. But that guy, man, he was just hard as nails, 78 years old, looked 50, but looked 100 at the same time. You know what I mean? And that was the way that it was. He told us, he said, boys, you look at them two boys right there and you look at me. He said, those two boys wake up late, they work half a day, and they eat the same as I do. He said, I'm out here before the sun's up. I'm out here after the sun's down. I need every calorie I can get to live. He said, look at me. He said, I'm eating as big as they are, and I ain't nothing. So that's a lot of it, too, was like the physical labor that was just the demand of the time, I think, predicated, you know, that need of that many calories and that enrichment of food that you grew or you slaughtered or whatever. I mean, it wasn't like it was ultra processed. So I think there's a lot to that. But man, the women in my family, we've had a couple right at 100, a bunch in the 80s and 90s. The men on my dad's side, 73 is the hurdle. That was kind of the genesis of the +1. Because when I was powerlifting, I was 350 pounds. And I was like, if I lived to 50, I was a bitch. I didn't try hard enough. You know, like that was kind of the mentality. But then when I started to get healthy and kind of change my body around, I was looking at men on my dad's side don't live past 73. So 75 just kind of became my goal. And I'll be honest, yesterday was day 2315 since I kind of made that declaration to myself. June 1st of 2019, I was like, man, I've gotten myself out of the hole, but have I gotten myself where I want to be? So that was the point where I was like, I'm going to get healthier. I'm going to lose weight. I'm going to change my eating, everything. I'm going to turn my life
Yeah.
around.
Yeah.
And the thing about that goal is, man, it's one of those things. It's like if you're in your business, if your goal was like, I want to make $5 million,
Right.
well, you need like intermediate goals to keep you that fire hot, because like as long as you're making money and winning, you're like, I'll get there. Oh, I'll get there.
Yep.
And that's where I've been a little bit the last 6 or 7 months, is like, it's not very hard for me to stay 220 to 230. It's not very
Right.
hard for me to go train every day. So like, yeah, I'm still working towards that goal, but this is like a lukewarm simmer goal. I needed to come in and kind of set some real, like, your ass is on fire for this kind of thing. And I think that's a very dangerous thing to fall into, but a good thing for people to understand about goal setting. You do need those small goals, like today goals.
Yeah.
You need week goals. You need month goals, 6-month goals, because then you're building a life. Because, dude, I can sit here and be a piece of shit and live to 75, honestly.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. For sure.
if it was like situational avoidance where I just lived in a bubble and whatever, I could probably get to 75. So do I refine that goal into some way that it's like, well, I want to be this at 75. Okay, that's a little bit better, but it still doesn't tell me where I want to be at 60, 55, or 50. So it's like, I needed to start reformulating. Where do I want to be in 5 years? What do I want to look like and live like in 10 years? Those kind of things. So I've kind of been down that rabbit hole. So it's day 2315 and like day 7. So, we're kind of back on a different wagon now.
Well, and it's hard, Lilly, because you you came out of a sport, and I've been through this a little bit in mine, but it's something where it's really clear. You have so much clarity around what you're going to do. You wake up in the morning and you have kind of 3 priorities, and it's easy, and you're always trying to get, stronger. But, we're at the age, how old are you now, by the way?
43.
Yeah. So we're roughly the same age, right? And now, like, I never squatted that much. I was just shy of 700. You know what I mean? But people, like, you go in the weight room for the longest time, it was always get stronger, get stronger, get stronger. And the reality is, I never want to squat 7. I never even want to look at that kind of weight again. And the weights you lifted are just they're impossible. Not, I mean, I shouldn't say that, but it's, you know what I mean? It was big enough that you'll never be that. And so to shift your mind around for the, from when we started touching that iron sport that you were in, it was always more. And then that mind shift of like, I don't know if I'm trying to extend that timeline to death, you know what I mean? Or keep it up here. But like live well is the goal. And it's like, don't die. You know what I mean? Don't die as soon. It's a different shift. But how did you shift that mentality? Because it takes a minute. You don't just do it overnight, right? I mean, I would assume it took some.
I'll tell you guys the truth. I mean, I don't know that I've ever laid it out just like this. I've kind of led into the suggestion of it. But the true story is, after my injury, I would say for a good year, I probably trained 10 times total in a year. But I would go out in the gym and I would sit, for my dedicated training time and just look at the barbell, like terrified of it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like absolutely terrified of it. Because one, I was having a surgery. I had 19 surgeries in 4 years. After every surgery, I was on my back 3 to 4 weeks. So, you kind of do the math on that. You're talking about 75, 76 weeks on your back in a 4-year span. And I didn't boo-hoo and show all that stuff. Like, people would just see that I'm like eating a meal or I'm up and whatever. But it's like, in between these photos, I'm back on my back with my leg in the air, trying to get the infection to stay at bay. Like that was my problem. I just kept having reoccurring infections. So I would get to the point where seemingly we're past the point of infection threat. We're at a point of healing. Okay, now I can start training. And I would go to the gym and I would sit there and it's like, I don't want to set this back. I don't want to do something to aggravate it. I don't want to fall again. So it was a big fear. And then,
how'd you deal with
teammates were really good.
That's your mental. That is your mental.
I was going to say, I had some teammates and I had a couple of companies, and I was desperate. I mean, I was like at the point where if I don't do something productive, I'm like going to lose this house, going to lose everything I had. So I kind of willed myself not like begrudgingly, right? I would do it just because I knew this was a means to an end, and that kind of got me going a little bit. But dude, it was always like the hesitation that had never been there was always there now. Fear of what if my feet aren't just perfect? What if what if I go down and my left leg can't push up, or just a million different things. And I kept going through it and I kept going through it. And honestly, man, I literally kept setting myself back till the doctor was like, look, no lifting. Like, don't even project this as a goal for yourself. You need to get healthy. We need to get your legs stabilized. You need to be able to walk. You need to be able to, do some physical fitness without weights. So at that time, I think I started talking to Cam Haynes when he had like 78,000 followers. I just remember that for some reason, because we were close. Like, I was at like 75 or 78, and I'd seen him on Rogan. And to me, that was like, man, if he can be on there, you could be on there. Like, you could be on there. He's not looking for guys with 1 million people. He's just looking for cool people. Yeah. So I reached out to Cam, probably somewhat selfishly, like, oh, this will be a connection or whatever. At the time, that was kind of how my mind thought, because everything I did was around, like, I was an early collaborator before collaborators were a term on social media. Like, I knew that if I trained with guys that were as good or better than I was, that was good for me as from a content standpoint. So I thought maybe I can reach out to Cam and talk to him or whatever. But we started messaging, and I just told him where I was, and I was like, dude, I don't even know if I can run a mile. I'm just going to see if I can even walk one. And he was like, you can do it. Just go do it. Well, I parked my truck and I walked a mile away from it. So now it was going to be 2 miles, because I didn't go a half mile and then come back. It was like I went straight a mile. So now I got to get back. But I was like, you know what? Maybe you can jog some of it. Like, you didn't die walking it. So, like, just walk or jog until you can walk, and then rest and then jog again. So I did that. Literally the next day I wake up, I'm going to do a 5K. I want to see if I can finish a 5K. So I do that. And then I want to do 5 miles the next day. So that was cool. And it was like, I did it. And it was slow as shit, but it was like, I did it. So then I get the idea that, like, hey, I got a full day where I got nothing going on. I'm going to run a half marathon. So, like, this is like day 6 of me. And this is also, like, for anyone that's going, oh man, that's fucking badass. Like, this is pain. Like, this is a pain, heart pain. Just seeing, like, will you break again? In a different way, will you break again? And I didn't realize it then, but mentally I was like combating myself. So I get going on a half marathon, and I'm like going along, and of course I'm like, what kind of pussy starts something with half in the name of it? So I'm going to do a marathon. I don't care how long it takes. And I just set my goal 3 miles an hour for 26.2 miles. At 18 miles, and this is a story more about my coach than about what I did. But I had a high school coach, middle school coach back in my hometown. Bunky Harkleroad is his name. And he coached me in soccer, he coached me in basketball, but he was the kind of guy that, like, we got in 7 matches and fist fights. And it wasn't because he was an asshole, it was because he's like, listen here, punk, I was just like you. You were better than me. Get your ass together. So it was kind of like that. One of the only men I know loved me, like, in my life. One of the only men that I can truly say his love was tough love, but I knew he loved me, and it was always forward. So to this day, he's a guy I don't talk to very often, but, a couple times a year we catch up, or like when I'm in need, or he's in need. So I'm at mile 18. I'm looking at my Uber. I'm like, that would be fucking great. I did 18 miles. You're a champ. But I already told myself if I didn't do the marathon, I'm a loser. So I call him. He's on the West Coast. It's like 8:17 in the morning, 5:17 his time. I know he's up because he's like a psychopath, and he coached women's basketball at Sacramento State at this point.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So I hit him up. I said, what's up, coach? He said, man, what's going on? Why are you calling? I said, well, I'm in the middle of a marathon. And he's a distance guy. He does triathlons and all kinds of crazy shit. So he's like, today? Like, you doing a marathon today? Like, what the hell? I was like, personal goal, just trying to finish it. No time limit, no nothing. I said, I'm at mile 18. And I said, I'm looking at my Uber app, wanting to quit. He said, let's go. So he drops his shoes on the floor. I hear him hit the ground. And he puts them on, and he stays on the phone with me for 8 miles while I finish. And it wasn't like, hey, keep going. Hey, keep going. He was just talking to me about life. And that was one of those things that was like the first time that I realized pain is only pain if you focus on it. Something that sucks only sucks if that's the only thing you've got going. So when you've got somebody else or some other thing that's better than what you're going through, you can keep going a little better. So that was something I applied from forever forward. Like, if this is your aim, sharpen your spear in other places too, because if this gets hard, you're going to get down on yourself. But if these things keep improving, you're getting better, and that'll catch this back up, and you'll get moving again. But that was the biggest turning point for me, was those two things. Was like, Cam just challenged me. I bet you can, you know.
Yeah.
And then Bunky, like a guy that had no reason to do anything to curse me out, and he's still just one of those guys. It's like, well, I'm not going to let you quit. You know, like, we're going to finish this thing. So I've been very fortunate to have people that challenge me, but also people that saw me through the finish line on my dreams and goals and whatever. And sometimes it's like people that are so obtuse to that, because they're like, man, I could never do that, but I see you got it. And I'm sitting there thinking, I don't think I can do it, but this person believes I can, so now I got to believe I can. So I feed off a lot of that. I used to be the kind of guy, when I wrote the Cube Method for powerlifting, that was another kind of high moment for me, was I spent more time trying to argue with the people who were naysayers of it than thanking the people who were appreciative of it. And that tells you a little bit about where my mentality was. I needed that conflict. I needed that proving ground. And now
that was
like,
my next question is like, I know their answer already, because I just know so many guys like you and like me, where I was more fueled by the fuck you than anything else, you know? And so that I've had to work.
I watched the video last night of myself, and I was talking about, we used to do crazy shit like no warm up, right? Like we would pull 815 on a barbell at a competition with no warm up. And I was talking about it before I showed the video, and I was like, look, some of you guys are hating on the cube, and some of you guys are hating on me, but you just can't do that. I keep proving you wrong. You know, it was like, that was, I mean, I didn't even know I was going to see that part, and I didn't even know I said it. But when I look back, that was me 12 years ago. It was like, I'm already one of the top 5 lifters in the world, and I'm still trying to tell people, like, I'll prove it to you. I'll prove it to you. You know? So I think that's a big hurdle for a lot of men to get over.
Yeah. Do you still find yourself? I've asked this question to other guys before, but like, because that was always I would go in the weight room, or I'd go out and train, and I would just kind of pick up on somebody that had like told me I couldn't do it. You know what I mean? Whether it was like my 8th grade football coach that, you know, he kind of told me I wasn't good enough or whatever. And I would just grab onto something like that. And I really had to stop doing that, because what I ended up finding out was, like, if my wife and I had an argument or something like that, I would just take her, you know what I mean? And then she was the person I was pushing against. And I was like, well, that's unhealthy, you know? So I had to really temper that, because I was pulling off of people that I cared about, you know, because it was just such a habit. It was a habit of like, so-and-so, just whatever, it didn't matter. That was my fuel. So I would find something somebody had said without even really knowing it. Like, and once I recognized it in the weight room, I was like, oh, I'm coming in here for one, kind of angry always, you know? And I had to just work on letting him and do it for the joy, do it for the love of it.
Yeah. I mean, that was one of the things Louis always told me. He said, happy lifters are weak, you know, and it's like, how many power lifters, I mean, you might see some now because it's gotten a sense of professionalism and there's actually some money in it. So people are making the choice, like, I'm going to be a professional. But when it was just like blue collar guys, just turning, like guys that turn wrench all day, they hate their fucking life. So the gym becomes like the place where their outlet is. But dude, I'm one of those people. I don't know if you've seen the meme, but it's like, I can listen to Zach Bryan, like, that dude is such a sad, powerful emoter. I will become sad and whatever. If I put on some heavy metal, and dude, that's why all my training videos now have metal in them, because I was training to like stick figure and reggae, and I was just like, this is good. But dude, not to sound crazy, not to get off the point, but Peace, Love, and Meat is my side project, right? And it was under the belief when I wrote about it, and I think before the world changed, you know, it started in 2019. So peace for me was like a place of grounding, like not happiness, but a place where things are in order and you get to be happy when those moments come. It's like, it's not a constant, perpetual happy. But now for me, because I mean, Charlie Kirk, terrible, the assassination attempt on Trump, like the volatility of our society, peace for me is not running away and just finding an orchard where nobody bothers you. Peace for me is drawing a hard line and having the capability to defend it, whether that's an emotional response or, you know, a discussion about a topic, or physically. Like, I am looking at myself now as the peace I will gain is through capability and confidence to maintain what my hard lines are. So when I train now, I've been listening to a band called Southpaw FLHC, and a lot of their stuff is real heavy music, but it's like discipline is the only way. We must suffer so we return stronger. Those kind of lyrics laden in this heavy metal stuff, where before my heavy metal was like, want to smash your face and like rip your spine out of your skull or whatever. But it's like, I hear those lyrics, but the music is charged, but the lyrics are what drive me forward, because it's like, how are you going to bitch out when some dude's screaming at you? It's like, bang it out, keep going, don't ever stop, push yourself, those kind of things. But I'm very much that way. And I found, like, even through personal friendships, relationships, I would take little things. Oh, that fucking, like, I can't believe they would say that. I can't believe they would say, what else are they saying? What else are they thinking about me? What else are they saying about me behind my back? What else are they, then you find a song that attaches to that. So it's like, oh, I'm coming up for a big lift and I got to get fired up. Well, I'm going through that, the emotional thinking. The song deepens that further. And then it's like, go. Well, then I started realizing maybe I can't call on that response unless I'm pissed off. So I started listening to the Last of the Mohicans, Promontory. That was on meet days. That was the only thing in my headphones from the second I walked in the door until I lifted. And they would always play out walkout songs and shit like that, but I would have it in my headphones. And when I would go off, that's what I was thinking of. Because for me, I was fighting for something bigger than myself with my powerlifting. Like, I was trying to get my life back on track. Those were for me. But like every lift, I knew that meant I was going to get another opportunity to do something great, more. But that song was like wrapped up in my feeling when I watched Last of the Mohicans. That it's like, he did this for love. He did this, like, nothing was going to stop him. He did it for his last name. He did it for his honor. So I kind of tried to embrace that as I became what I would classify a great lifter to a professional great lifter. Was able to kind of differentiate, okay, if you can only get that lift because it's an emotional response, well, if you fried your CNS and go into this competition and you can't tap into that lift's not going to happen. So at the end of my career, I was trying to like mellow out a little bit before my lift, because that's a very European thing. You see a lot of the Russian lifters, very stoic. They just walk up to the bar and they just lift it, or they don't. Whereas in America, you kind of get that like AC/DC, smack in your face, getting juiced up. It helps, believe me. Like, when something's on the line, I want to be juiced to a 10. But the in between and the training, like, I never let myself get rizzed in training like that. Because how do I know I got it? Because I can do it, or because I tapped into it? So yeah, man, it's such a dangerous thing for me. Like, I love reading, but like poetry or short quotes, like the depth and the message that comes through those hits me harder than a book. So songs, I get that kind of drive from different things. So I got to be real careful what I listen to, because I will shift my entire emotional state to what I'm listening to. Got to be really careful.
And it's something that, something I kind of thought when you were talking there was just, that same rule of suffering equals growth, right? Is so it's so clear in the weight room, and we've all had it. Tyrel's more of a runner. He did 100-miler this year, and so the rule applies. We know that anything physical, but how do you? I think it's harder. I find people having a lot harder time doing that in their personal life, where they know like suffering equals growth, right? You're going to put yourself in a situation where you're going to be afraid. Because you can bury yourself under a bar, whatever for me might be 500-600 pounds on the squat bar, and I'm going to put myself underneath this, and I'm going to be afraid, but I'm going to come out the other side stronger. But I think in life, Brandon, like how do you find yourself forcing yourself into that uncomfortable space to accomplish the same growth? Because it is so easy, especially in this world. We have the freeze once the freezer's full. You know what I mean? And when we grew up with the pretty empty freezer, and so I got a lot of growth. Well, I know got a lot of growth out as a young man. But as you become successful, you're older. We live in nice homes. I'm sure you do too. You got plenty of steak in the fridge. You know what I mean? But we didn't always have that, right? And we got a lot of really. I mean, I think I know your background. I know we've had some good conversations about growing up, and it wasn't easy for you. But how do you continue today to force ourselves? To see ourselves grow that way, where you like, how do you push yourself to that uncomfortable space?
I'll give you 2 points. So when I was in kindergarten, I got in trouble for career day, or like, what do you want to be when you grow up? And my response was, I wanted to be great. And that was
Yeah.
the wrong answer, because it wasn't like a chosen thing. But that is
Yeah.
something, dude, even so, April of 2016, I put a pistol in my mouth. That was
Yeah.
2 years into my injuries and all that kind of stuff. And what I realized in that moment was, I didn't really want to die. I just didn't want to keep living that way. You know what I mean? And that
And
was
that's
a
hard
that
in
was
that
a
moment
profound moment.
because you don't see
Oh,
the
bro,
way out. Like, how do you
no.
help a guy like go like, what's that next step? Because every step forward looks dark. It looks darker and darker and darker as you look forward.
Yeah, man. And that's the thing is, one, making a call to my dad, that was big. The two things he said to me were like, they were foundational shifts. He was like, son, I'm sorry. He's like, I should have told you I loved you every single day. And like, I'm sorry that you got this far down before you could reach out. And that was that was kind of where our relationship was. It was like, you're a man, you figure it out until your back's so far against the wall that you're falling in a hole, And
Mm-hmm.
to this day, I have never heard my dad complain ever about anything. Like, he can either fix it or he can't, and that's where he lives. That's kind of how he loved as well. Is like, I'm going to show you that I love you. I don't have to sit here and give you a friggin' poem about how much I care about you. I just put you to bed and built you a house and fed you. Like, I love you. Get it.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
for a
Yeah.
man that I thought was incapable of saying those two things, to come straight in and see me in the shape I was in, and dude, I'm still a big hulking guy. I'm 330 pounds, like, still very muscular. And my dad's just like a normal 175-pound guy. But it was literally like this little man. I mean, he felt so small to me at that time. Like, my dad's not a small guy. But in that
Yeah.
moment, it was like, I needed just to realize that all this strength was
Yeah.
not his strength. It was not the same time. And for me, I've had so many like changes of direction. Like in '08, I was on track with General Motors. I was going to work for General Motors to retirement. Like, there was a career management program. In 5 years, you were going to be in this position, in this place, and this is roughly what you were going to make in 10 years, and so on. I was employee of the month. I was like doing my job really well. New house, 2 new cars, new baby, married, all this other stuff. Recession hits. All of that blows apart. All of that blows apart. So I started making some terrible decisions. Got involved with some rough stuff. Started doing some really stupid things that could have jeopardized my future. Got out of that. Got into like powerlifting full swing. Like, this is my option. This is my way out. I can do something good with this. That's going great. Blow my knees apart. So it's
Yeah.
like these radical life changes have kind of come at different times in my life. I mean, even when I was in high school, I was right at, like, I was going to go play soccer in Indiana for Evansville for Roy Messer. He was the men's American national coach, and he was recruiting me in high school as a junior. And I switched schools from a small market school to a big 5A school. And the reason was, his contingency for my scholarship was, hey, you either need to play AAU or you're traveling against some better opponents, or play at a bigger school. We didn't have money for AAU.
Yeah.
The ink was drying on a bylaw in the state of Kentucky that if you transfer high schools without moving residents, then it's considered recruiting.
Yeah.
So 4 guys went from the big school to the small school. They got to play their senior year. I went from the small school to the big school, and I had to sit out my entire senior year. So I lost my opportunity to do that. Changed the whole course of my life. Everything that I had worked for gone. Get married, have a kid, all that stuff. That opportunity's gone. Go into powerlifting, blow my knees out. That's gone. So it's like, I think for a lot of my life, I keep looking kind of on my heels, like, where's the next kind of blow going to come from here? Like, what's going to ruin this thing? But at the same time, I stopped letting that be a fear so much as a driver. Like, yeah, things are going to happen to you, but you've got to, it goes back to that piece, right? Like, if for some reason I could never draw a bow again and hunt the way that I love, man, I've got other skills and capabilities and other things that I can do. Like, I don't know what would stop me from drawing a bow, but I don't. This is where my eggs are right now, but I'm open to the idea that they'll never be there again, because I've had to
Yeah.
do that so many times, and I've stayed in holes for years. I mean, like, people think, man, you look awesome. You're doing all this cool stuff. Like, you're so positive. Dude, it is against myself every single day, because I am a keep going, keep going, keep going. But that's the scream in my head, because everything else is like, well, this is going to be a waste of time because it's going to fucking fall apart at some point, you know? So I have to wrestle that all the time. But dude, I still believe within myself, the best thing that I'm ever going to do in this life is yet to be done. I don't think it's a delusion. I think that all of this has been like preparation, because the thing about powerlifting, I was a swimmer and a soccer player. I was 170 pounds in high school. But when I caught the bug, I was willing to die for that. You know what I mean? And when I was playing soccer, I was out in the front yard with one of those little juggling aids when I was like, 10 o'clock at night with the light on by the garage, like just learning to juggle and do all that kind of stuff. So I am very, very good at the rabbit hole. And that's what I know will get me to a level of greatness in whatever I find. But I just don't think I've found that exact line yet.
We're getting back. We had a little technical difficulty, and so we got Lilly back on, Bubba. So
so just to finish that point, I mean, I guess the way that I have learned in my life is that I have the confidence that if you told me I had to build a nuclear rocket, as long as I have someone to show me how to do that or like help me in the process, I will be good at that. Yeah. So I'm not afraid of anything. And I think that just comes from experience. I don't think at 25 years old, I was equipped to understand that life is going to knock you down repeatedly. Like once you get on the groove of something, there's no guarantee that it stays. So when my life kind of blew apart at 27, 28 years old, I was not equipped to handle that from a standpoint of myself, conversations with people around me. Like I just internalized everything, and it was me versus the world. And that's the most dangerous thing for me, because I can get very good result when I can shut everything else off and just focus on me. But being that well-rounded individual that can do it for yourself and then shut it off and be there for other people, that's probably been the hardest shift for me, is being a well-rounded person that also has like finite missile-like aim. That's probably my biggest struggle still, is how to balance it all. And I don't believe there is a balance. I think balance would be that, people in your life are going to understand that you're a certain way at certain times, and they need to respect that. But like you said, when you're not that person, you have to be everything that they need you to be, full tilt. So I think for a long time I was just selfish. I think I was driven by certain things that I thought would get applause or recognition or respect from the people that I cared about. But like my son, I'll never forget. I called and I told him, I was like, hey, Daddy bent 600 pounds raw today. And he was like, oh, cool. He's like, I got a new Superman toy. Like he didn't care. Yeah. He didn't give a shit about 600 pounds. Yep. And John Heck had me on his podcast, and he asked me, he was like, how would you feel if you could deadlift 1,000 pounds today? And I would say, well, I would start with, what would that entail? Like what would I have to do that? Or can I just walk over and pick it up? And he said, just walk over and pick it up. And I said, it would not change my life at all, because what would happen if I pulled 1,200 pounds, the biggest deadlift ever? It would be a viral video for a few moments. I would probably get a few opportunities to talk on podcasts and maybe some kind of sponsorship. Yeah. But then I've got to pull 1,205. Yep. You see what I mean? Like, there's no end point. Like Eddie Hall said it the other day. He was like, I knew that for me, 500 kilos was my finishing point. When I did that, if I did that, I knew that I was done. And you have to draw that line. Like, that's the one thing I would tell guys right now is like, find a number that's nearly impossible, but you believe is possible. And when you hit that, say I did it and walk away, because if not, you're just like me. You'll just keep going until something breaks. And I don't know, man. I want to find the thing that doesn't break me. I want to find the thing that I continuously build up and it benefits me. Because the thing that has happened is I have always been the thing. It's been my performance, whether it's in the gym or on a soccer field or under a bow. It's always me. So I want to build something that I can be a part of and benefit from, but I can continuously build that and not destroy myself in the process.
Yeah, dude. And I think you said something that I think would be fun to dig in on, is just that you said my life blew up, right? Mm-hmm. And I think as we get older, I don't know if you've noticed this, Brandon, but what you think of as, my life blew up, is we've got us and our career and all the things that we do that when people say, well, who is Brandon Lilly? And they would have gone at that time, they'd say he's a power lifter. He's he's whatever. whatever you were doing at the time, like your trade or whatever was. But I think as we get older, I've noticed that we have this ability to separate the two, and so I call it like the player in the game. You know what I mean? And it's like you, and there's what you do, what all of us see that gets posted on the social media side or whatever. And I think as we get better at separating those two out, when you say life, it's no longer this one big thing because you've learned to separate those between who you are as an individual when you're reading that poetry and that person that's over here, and then this thing that you're doing over here, whatever that is for you. And so like this might blow up, right? Like the football thing for a football player, or your career might go away, but it doesn't mean the man has really changed to really any extent, right? And so I've always tried to work through that. There's only a couple things that there's only a couple things that live inside this circle over here with me, and that's my wife and my kids, you know. And as I've had to learn to like really strengthen and kind of create defensible space around this and around me and keep those separate, it's really improved. And there's challenges that come in that, right? Like I had, without getting too much into it, but like Tyrel knows, like we had twin daughters, and then one of them passed away after they were born. You know what I mean? And those are the things that, like, when I think like life blows up, like that for me was dangerously close to being, you know what I mean, blown up for me.
Oh yeah.
Right. Yeah. And so as I started to separate those two things out and go, man, this is just a game we're playing. What me and you are doing here, this is just a game. We're having fun. Hopefully the life experience that us three have helps another man or another woman. And, you know, like your story about having the pistol in your mouth, like I have another guy that's going to come on the podcast. The same thing, 2020 had a pistol in the mouth, you know, and it's like, how many of us guys have had that? And I think if we can come out and go, your story, if it helps save another man's life, right? Like what step does he need to take? Call a brother, call a father, call your father. If you're lucky enough to have a man you can call that way, your father. Like that's worthwhile work, right? And that's what I believe is like worth doing. And I think we get to that point now where you go, deadlifting 1,000 pounds, the time and energy it would take to lift that, it's not worth it to you anymore, right? Like it's not, the trade-off ain't there because the juice isn't worth the squeeze anymore, because you know how quickly that comes and goes, and it doesn't leave anything really lasting. It's just another weight, and there's always more. You know what I mean? That's the thing. You go to a weight room, you never win. And that's the beauty of it. Also that's the positive and the negative of it. But for you, you pull that, but nothing's changed. Like nothing's really changed. And so I think for me, and I'm just kind of reflecting on you, is going, I think we get to this point now in our lives where we go, what am I going to do that has impact, that's going to last, that's going to stay, that is really me? You know what I mean? Like you look in that case and they make a Brandon Lilly wall at Sorinex someday, and you kind of go, what do I want on that wall now? Like really want, like, do you want like the medals, or would you rather leave three books and go, hey, never mind that. Read these 3 books, guys. Read this one poem over every day. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I think it's I think that's it. Like in a nutshell, it's I would not be who I am, where I am, were it not for other men. You know, being in and of my father, my grandfather. I got a few friends that I know. Like, and one of the things that's really hard too, I think, in this modern age. I can message you. I can message my other buddies that I talk to that are all over the country. But I think a lot of men are like, "Hey, man, let's go meet at the bar. Let's go get some beers at the bar," because we're so far out. You know, we don't have that web of like really connected friends. I mean, you guys might. I'm just speaking for myself. So a lot of times, oh man, I don't want to message him with my problems. I don't want to message him with my problems. But if you're just sitting around having beers or watching a game with buddies, the problems, you know, you talk about it and it's organic. But now I have to clearly declare in writing or on a phone call to someone 8 hours away, hey man, I'm struggling. But the thing is, the friends that I've found and the men that are like me, every time that I'm done telling mine, they're giving me something back that they need help on, you know. And I think a lot of times men, I actually did this last night. I messaged the guy. He's in the Sorinex circle, but he's a little bit bigger name. But I ended up messaging him, and I just told him, because he's gone through some hard stuff the last few years. And Well, I'll just say it's Drake White. You know, he had health problems, stroke,
Mhm.
just lost a child, and you know he's in the middle of a record release. He's got to go on tour. I think his record label gave him a few dates off, and then it's like, hey man, you got to get back out here, which is
Yeah,
crazy, right? It's fucking crazy.
absolutely.
But nevertheless, I sent him a message last night. I said, hey man, I don't know where you're at or what you're doing, but I just wanted you to know I was thinking about you. I'm really proud of the way you've handled yourself. I can't imagine what you're going through, but I know that I've been through hard things, and I know you're a guy that can get through them too. I love you, buddy. I'm proud of you. Keep going. And he
Yeah,
messaged me back, and he was like, you don't know how much I needed that. Love you too, man. Let's get together soon. And for him, that's all he needed to say.
yeah,
But I bet he's thinking a little bit more today about like, okay, somebody cares. And to me, dude, that's what I want to be. I want to be known as somebody that was like, dude, for 25, 26 years of his life, he was a complete asshole piece of shit.
sure.
Um, but at some point, he turned it around, and all his mission was to help people and improve people or
Yep.
improve their lives. And that's what I try to do because, dude, I think about what would have happened if my dad didn't answer that call.
Yeah.
I mean, what would have happened? I think about other times. What if Bunky hadn't answered that call? What if Bo Sandoval hadn't answered my call a couple of times? What if Bo Sandoval and I didn't have 2 weeks in Arizona where we were chasing mule deer, getting our asses kicked, but talking about life in between? So, man, I think it is something. I think that's why, you know, guys struggle coming out of the military because you have a de facto friend group that's just there all the time, whether you want it or not. But you
And I
get
know
used
you
to
went
that.
through that a
And
little
then
bit.
now it's like, well, you got to go home and you got to be by yourself and you got to figure it out. I think that's why guys struggle. I think that's why guys like us struggle when I could have bills stacked up on the table. I could have 100 things of bad news. But if I did my thing in the gym that day and I got better, I was still on track. You know what I mean? And I think that's a dangerous place too. So men, when you know, I would say this, when you do have that one aim and when it's going really well, make sure that you're still tending the whole garden. Don't just water the one thing that's working right now. Make sure you're building a life that can work around that thing. And if it fails, you know, I hate to don't have a plan B. Well, dude, that's a big what the hell when plan B rolls around and you haven't even thought about it. You know what I mean? Like I love the mentality, like I am going to get this done no matter what, but I also have the mentality, the world may not let me. So I have to, how do I react to what the world gives me in my pursuit of this? And just be aware of what's coming, be aware what can happen. But I would tell you, no matter how much you're struggling, every single time, almost without fail, that I have divulged something I'm struggling with to a friend, they've not only been like a welcome ear, but I've been an ear for them too. So it's just like there's no debt there, there's no guilt there because it's what's needed, it's what's natural. So I think this tough guy, like you're a tough guy, I'm a tough guy, and I definitely can swallow down my emotions. But the more I stay in tune with my emotions, the more that if I stuff them down for a few weeks because I got to get shit done, I better pull them back out and figure out what I'm working with as far as those feelings, or they will become thorns on my heart.
Oh,
They
they
will
will.
continue to barb and barb and barb until I address them or self-destruct. And that has been my pattern. I either get better or I self-destruct.
And it will. It comes back up, right? And the more you, and it's just a thing, like they don't go away. You got to deal with them eventually. And I've, you know, I have those situations I've explained to you guys where like you try and push them back out, like things are coming in, those inputs are coming in, the bullshit, the hard thing. If you've ever been through like lawsuits in business and all that, and you try and push them back out of you and get rid of those things, and it's not how it works. Like you got to take it in and you have to digest it, you have to deal with it and let it pass through you. And so it's like the more we try and push those away, push them away and ignore it, like they're going to get into you. Those hard things, they're going to get in and you've got to deal with it. There is no just push it back out and don't deal with it. Like find somebody to talk to, find a mentor or anybody that you can just sit down and go with, hey, can I process this out? Because it's got to be processed. There is no just, ignore it. It'll go away because it doesn't. It'll come in. It'll get you.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you something, man. So when I was a kid, I had some unique situations, some tough stuff that happened, you know, and it was like you kind of figure out that the world's not what you thought it was when you're small. So as I'm growing up, I kind of navigated life from that direction that it's not what it's supposed to be. So I think, you know, for me, my whole life, I've always looked for ways to challenge people that were close to me because it's like, oh, if I push you hard enough and you leave, then you're gone. But if I push you hard enough and you stay, you're good for me. But the thing is, you're beating someone down in that process. You know what I mean? Like, I think a lot of men are looking for that kind of, you got to prove it to me kind of thing. And I've definitely been one of those guys, especially from a teammate standpoint. Like, if you're just coming in here to lollygag around and not support this and not try, then I don't want you around. And I was very, very good at just being that person. I can cut you off so fast. But the thing is like, I would get 3-4 months down the road and I would look at myself and I'd be like, man, I wonder what he's up to. And it's like, the reason I don't know is because I was a complete dick to him. You know what I mean? Like, or whatever it is. So there's, I mean, like, I would say the biggest hurdle in my life is myself. Like, I am the devil on my shoulder. And, you know, it's not like I go out and say, you know, I have these bad decisions that in my head and I want to make them. It's just like, I think at times, because of my situation and needing someone, I have overgiven to things in a way that is taken from me as well. You know what I mean? It's like someone who needs almost gives too much. So it's like, I don't know, it's a weird thing, but I think a lot of men struggle with that stuff too. And I don't know what the answer is, because I mean, I've sat with a veteran in a car for 24 hours while he just poured his life out to me. And dude, I was scared for myself. Like, this was not just a incapable man, and this was not a man going to like say I had a breakup. This is a man who is like literally the pillars of his existence are crumbling down, and he's on in a car with me for 24 hours as he is sobbing and detailing his life to me. And it was one of the hardest things I've ever done. But that guy has done probably 24 hours, individual hours of the same thing for me since then. You know what I mean? So it's like, and I'll tell you one other story. So my friend Robert Smith, he's a psychiatrist. He was a professor of mine, and talking about how you don't know what you're actually doing when you're doing it. So again, I told you I had some stuff when I was a kid. So like, you know, it was just weird situations where I kind of saw through people and saw that people didn't tell the truth and things. So I wanted to be like in defense of myself. I was kind of small and scrawny, got picked on a little bit. So obviously the muscles were kind of a stay away from me. I'm strong.
And the tattoos. Okay, I beat you. I really noticed that with tattoos, it's an expression in one hand, but it's also a don't get too close to me. I really
that's what he said to me. He said, you already built the suit of armor. He said, and then you just put like this really aggressive graffiti on it that's like, stay the hell away from me.
Yeah.
You know, and dude, I didn't realize I was doing it, but all of my tattoos, all of my like original tattoos are tied to pain. People I lost, years of my life that I felt like I was out of my mind. Skulls for people that passed away. The 2 axes on my hand right there for my 2 years at Westside when I was battling with Louis. You know, those kind of things is like my whole structure was built to keep me safe.
Yes.
And then when I look at that and I'm like, me now, my favorite thing to do now is because people do view me as one way and I'm not, is like the little old ladies at Walmart when they need something off a shelf or like they're putting their cart away. I always ask, you know, can I get that for you? Can I do that for you? And I try to be the person that extends the olive branch first. Like, hey, how are you doing today? Or I try to get doors for everyone. And that's part of my like 3-day system, or 3 things every day. Learn something new, read, and then help a total stranger. Like, those are 3 things that I try to do every single day. And the funny thing is like, well, you look big and scary, but you're a big teddy bear, you know, like that kind of response.
Yeah.
Because I don't know the next guy with tattoos, what she's going to think of them. But I can only control this interaction. So that's what I try to do, is just make every little interaction better. Because to go back to the +1 for me was, what is the best thing I can do right now, or what is the thing that's going to take me further to goals? Because you never say a 0. So if I walk by this lady, I see she's struggling, and I don't help her, that's a -1 on me. I didn't help somebody that needed help. It's 2 seconds, and it's accessible to me, do it. And those kind of things. And it's like, my dad reasoned it to me. He said, if you're in a 1,000-step hole, 1,001 good steps will get you out of it. But you can't go from 1,000 deep and take 2 steps and you're good. He's like, this is going to take time and effort and whatever. So that's what I started doing. Every meal, Is this what I should eat, or is this what I want to eat, or is this what's on the menu? Is this what I should drink, or is this what I want to drink, or is this only what's on the menu? Like that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And then I just started formulating everything around that because, dude, I was so unsure of myself that I had to control the micro. It's like I can't even tell you about my day. I just need to win breakfast.
Yeah.
And then I need to win between breakfast and lunch. And for somebody who's like really, really down a pretty dark hole, that is the only way you're going to get out. You're not going to go from certain like failure points of debt or relationship failures, or you lost your job, and then tomorrow it's all going to be better because you have a good attitude. You're going to have a good attitude, and you're going to have a ton of action before anything good starts to occur. So you got to get through that purgatory a little bit. And I think that's where a lot of guys get hung up is they've got the resolve, they know what to do, they start, and then it gets harder.
Yeah.
And dude, whether you put that in a biblical context or you put that in a world context, I think the more that someone is pursuing God or pursuing greatness, the hurdles are going to get harder, and they're going to catch you when you're least expecting it. You know, and it's just easy to fall back. It's easy to fall back into that belief. But dude, you just have to keep forging forward. And like I said, that voice in your head has to be screaming louder than the voice. Well, guy saying with it, Westside put it best. He said, never let the coward in your brain destroy the badass in your heart. And that's the truth. It's like your heart will tell you where you are. Your brain just has to believe it can get there. And I think that's the big disconnect is you get kicked down so many times you stop believing it can. But in this country, greatest country in the world, I said it the other day in my story. I don't care if you're 50 years old and you work at McDonald's and you want to be a doctor. McDonald's probably itself has a program that will help you get there. But there is a step-by-step process for anybody to any dream. Some will have it handed to them. Some will get it easier. But wherever you are, whatever you're doing, there is a systematic approach to whatever level of success you want to attain. You just have to do that, and it takes what it takes for you. Like there's no other argument. It is what it is, and it takes what it takes.
Why is it so often, Lily, that you, and I love that you put it this way, that there's like the savage in your heart, the warrior in your heart, and then we all have an asshole roommate in our head, like all of us. I've yet to talk to somebody that doesn't have that asshole roommate in your head telling you it's all those messages from when you were a kid, those things, all those little things you heard, they just come back up, and he's always there telling you like it's not going to work. You know what I mean? You're going to fail. It's weird why we have it there. And maybe there's two guys in there. One's an asshole, that whole good wolf, bad wolf. I don't know, but it's always there. It's consistent with us. And it's like, how do you deal with that guy? Because it's that self-doubt. It's that thing that, you know what I mean, that tells you can't. And it's for some reason it's there.
Well, dude, I think if you were a 5-year-old child and you grew up in a utopia, I don't know that you would have that. You know what I mean? I think if everything that you ever saw anyone do was possible, if everything that everyone ever tried was successful, you would not have that. But I think it's a formulation of your environment where you are repeatedly told things or mocked or called things or said about things. And then you see around you like, oh man, that guy tried and he failed. Oh, that guy tried and he failed. Oh, that guy tried and he failed. I think life as a defense mechanism, like don't touch the fire again because it's hot. Your brain has the same defense mechanism, but I don't know how to narrow this down, but I was thinking about the human brain the other day from the standpoint of evolution as far as who were we when we started? We were maybe 5 or 6 stress individuals, and they were one-step solutions. So if you needed, let's go 10,000 years ago. If you needed fire, you have to build a fire. Everything else stops, and you build that fire. If you need shelter, everything else stops, and you build that shelter. But once you build the fire, or you build the shelter, or you get meat, or you hug your wife and make a child, like whatever your thing to do, and you put all your attention, probably the whole family at the time would put all their attention to that, and then it's done, and you go back. But it's like today, I mean, if I never got on my phone, if I didn't talk to you guys today, and I just sat here, life's pretty good. Like there's not a lot of stress. There's not a lot of incoming to deal with. Like I know the things that I have to do today uninterrupted from any noise. As soon as I pick up my phone, well, do you see what they said about Palestine today? Do you see what they said about race wars today? Do you see what they did about this and this and this? And all of those things start coming in, but we compute them as the world around us. So it's like this world has got this problem and this problem. So my problems don't matter as much as those problems, or my opportunities aren't as much as that person. And we start to believe that stuff because it's so much input, but we don't have any process. We never stop and say, wait a minute, I just heard that. Let me think about that. Okay, it's not as big a deal as it seems, or this is really important and I need to pay attention to it. We're just drinking through a fire hose. When's the last time you remembered anything? Like sat down to truly remember a memory?
Right. Yep.
It's been a long fucking time for most people when I ask them. Like, when's the last time you just sat on a front porch, uninterrupted by media, and just thought about something that was great in your life?
Yeah. Luckily for us, like we just got done hunting for a month, which is why I crave it so much, right? Where you go, you hunt from say 6:15 in the morning to about 8:45 or 9, and now you go, okay, I've got 9 to 5 o'clock, right? And I have nothing to do but look at a tree, right? The beauty of being in the woods, because
that's why it's so calming, because it just becomes a 1 or a 0. You know what I mean? Do I have to do this? Yes, then do it. Do I need to do this? No, not right now. Then don't do it. And I think if we lived more in a life like that, where it was, okay, this bad thing happened, but I still have these other things to do, that can wait. Or it's so bad that those other things will wait and I have to finish this now. But the stress wasn't compounding, because after that one's done, then it's the next thing, it's done. The next thing, it's done. I think we're just living too fast and too complicated. You know what I mean? And for what cause? Like, you know, and God, this is going a very different direction than what I expected, but I don't want to make it. But like, I do worry about this country. I worry about the individuals in this country. And the biggest thing that I worry about is that we all feel the same. You know, we're all frustrated. We're all internally like with angst.
Yeah.
I'm not so sure that there's enough people that even know their neighbors well enough to fix their neighborhood, let alone their town, or let alone this country. So that's where I realize and reckon that I can't get up here and tell people what to do in those regards. But I can say, for me, when I eat better, when I train, when I read, when I journal, when I turn off my phone for hours at a time, when I talk to my friends, when I call them rather than texting, when I write something on paper versus in my phone, those things make me better. And I've identified those things. So I do those things over and over and over. And that's what kills me about the Goggins generation that we're in. That's David Goggins' system. And like, I agree with the mentality and stuff. But dude, I'm a late night person. I like to write between 10:30 and 1 o'clock in the morning. That's when my brain kind of starts. Maybe it's a lucid dream state, but I'm still awake. But my pen flows a little easier. So getting up at 4:30 after writing until 1 o'clock in the morning is stupid. But if I go to bed at midnight and I get up at 7 or 7:30 and my day starts at 8:15 or later, I didn't really penalize myself by staying up later, right? But all these guys are trying to emulate that. I got to get up at 4:30. I got to run 20 miles. I got to do this. You are trying to adopt someone's system after years of evolving their own system. Yeah. So that's why I never try to tell people do this because I'm doing it. I'm saying this is what I do. You need to find your examples of that. It's more of like for me, I tell everyone, I try to build bowling lane bumpers. Something that if I get off track, it pushes me back in the right direction. So I have my little bumpers in my life. And I know that if I do this thing, I'm going off the rails. If I go this direction, I'm going off the rails. But I keep those bumpers in my life of discipline and accountability. But if I train at 6 o'clock in the morning or 7 o'clock at night, it doesn't matter to me. If I get up at 4:30 in the morning and I'm tired all day, and I would have been better to sleep until 6:30 or 7, I'm sleeping until 6:30 or 7. So I don't believe in this. I believe in circadian rhythms, but I don't think if you radicalize your life and get up at 4:30 and run 20 miles a day, automatically your relationship's better. Automatically your job is better. Automatically your life is better. You may feel better, but you have to become a better individual in those individual areas as well. And I think when we're so distracted and we're so drawn to this problem is bigger than me, this problem is bigger than this problem right in front of me, we never deal with the shit that we can, that's actually tangible to fix. So we just stay in this dream state of chaos all the time where everything is bad and there's nothing to be done about it.
Dude, you said so much in there. And Tyrel, that's you. I mean, I've talked to T a bunch about that because he's a late night. His frequency, I always think of it as frequency, right? And I'm that way. It's like I've learned because I am not a consistent grinder kind of guy. I'm a bit of a sprinter in life. And so like I have to pay attention to my own frequency and go, I'm going to get the most out of myself here, but being okay, giving myself permission to put stuff away and do it. But you're the same way, T. You kind of flow.
Yeah, it's a lot better. That kind of nighttime really gets firing, right? Like even like last night, I tried to get to bed early. It's been a long week getting back off the mountain and stuff, and at 9:30, I'm like, sweet, I'm gonna get some sleep, and then it's just boom, eyes open, ready to rock and roll.
Yeah.
You know,
Well, I
and
wanted to, like, for you, I would ask you, like, at 9:30 when you try to go to sleep, do you put your phone down?
I'm not the best at it,
Okay.
like
Because what happens to
giving
me is
myself that time.
what I tend to notice is like I won't be on my phone like all the time, but like I'll check in every hour or something. I'll check a few minutes or scroll a little bit. But I found that if like at night, say 9:30, the phone kind of goes down because it's like you're getting a shower, you're getting yourself ready, blah blah blah. It's like my mind comes back awake because of that, because I'm not with this thing in my hand. So the stuff that my brain would naturally give me and maybe has a chance to give me is now starting to flow. So that's why I think I kind of turn on around that time, around 9:30 or 10 o'clock, because for an hour straight, I've been doing all the things that I need to do. So my brain is focusing on what do you need to do? What do you need to be thinking about? What do you need to be planning for? And as I'm doing those things, whether it's folding the laundry or setting my stuff out or putting a meal together, those things draw the world back to me.
Yeah,
And then it's like the other parts of my brain start to run, and it's like I can easily destroy that as soon as I pick this back up,
Yeah.
But it's like for
yeah,
me, it's worked out pretty good that I realize now I'm not going to miss much if I put my phone down around 9:30 at night, and I'm going to get a couple of hours of myself back, if I do that. So I don't know if that's a universal thing for everyone, but I sure do feel that when I'm on, my screen time starts keeping up, my level of like this world is really messed up goes up. When my
Yeah.
screen time goes down, it's like this world's got a lot of good in it, because I see what the world is in front of me instead of on a screen,
and they do a good job of keeping you wrapped up into that, right? And shit's crazy right now, and so I think a lot of people are feeling that a little bit more emotionally, where a lot of people were able to kind of separate and like that's in the distance, it's not me, we're still grinding here. And then um I think been slapped in the face a couple times the last couple months, and
Yeah.
people kind of realizing that. But like the Goggins, like the getting up at 4:30, I think going back to what you're talking about is like that fear of people creating their own path, right? That it's fear. It's instead of just like I just need to get up at my time and spend my hour and get myself right and go to work at my normal time. It's like they're scared of that, right? But it's like, oh, if I could get up at 4:30 and I could put 20 miles in before work, my life will be perfect,
Right.
Yeah.
right?
And
Because
it's not. I
yeah,
mean, it doesn't.
yeah,
And I look at Goggins. I would love to know the real. Like I can tell you, I know just looking from the outside. Like I've got my areas of kind of my 5 areas I want to see expand in my life on a daily basis. And he might be crushing one of those areas, but I think
Mm-hmm.
if we were to weigh out, and I'm not trying to knock the guy at all, I'm just kind of would love to touch on for those young men that are watching him and go, hey guys, there's a lot more to life than just running a long way and just living a fuck you life.
Yeah.
Uh, there's a lot
It
more
helps
life
to
to be
have a
lived.
national bestseller, like with reoccurring income every month that allows you to do that too. You know what I
yeah,
mean?
Exactly. Yep.
yeah,
Yep.
So,
Yep. But the reality is for most guys, it's like, wake up if you're a father, or a husband or whatever, like do a great job of loving those people. Like I've had to shift that a ton for myself because I used to be that. I used to tell guys like I can't work out. I'm like, that's what 4:30 is for. And I've
yeah.
kind of shifted that mentality for one, just for health because I'm 45 years old and shit
Yep.
likes to break at 4:30 in the morning if you're 45. And so like last night, like I just wasn't feeling it yesterday morning. I wanted time with my wife and kids, so I did that. And then I find myself at 8:15 last night doing sled drags up and down my driveway till I want to throw up because that's just when I could do it, you know.
Yeah.
Um,
Yep.
and so you fit it in where you can fit it in, but I made a promise to myself this week I was going to do 4 laps, which it's a fairly long driveway with a heavy sled. I'm like every day I want to do 4 laps. You know what I mean? Just up and back, and then I do a little thing in between each one. But that for me, also just from a strategy standpoint, I have a really mentally busy life. And so for me, my workouts I've had to shift. I talked to Bo Sandoval about this. It's like I can't do 75 different movements and all these things and setting up the bar and all these different, like for me, it has to be sled pulls and deadlifts, or sled pulls and a heavy bench in between, or sled pull and pull up, or that's where I'm at right now. And it'll change next month because that's just what I do. But I had to really simplify it. And it's a version, it's like it's the same as your bumpers, but opposite, in the way that like the bumpers are a thing that keep you in the lane. What I've had to do is eliminate we eliminate distractions, So I talked with our guys yesterday about I'm in this big kind of like almost a minimalism type of life that I'm trying to chase. It's like just in me right now to chase that. Like from a hunting gear standpoint, I want just the stuff I need. Everything else goes in a tub and I hide it. So that if somebody says you want to go hunt, I go, yep. And I go, and I pull these clothes off, I set them in my pack. There's one drawer and that all goes in the pack and I'm on a hunt, and it's the same clothing. Like essentially it's like I've got like 7 shirts and 7 pairs of pants and that's it. Right. Because it's the same as the bumpers, but in a way it's eliminating the other lanes to where you go, I've eliminated friction toward what I want and simplified it to the point that there's not a good excuse to say no. It's just too easy to say.
Have you ever heard of the Dan John Stark mentality?
No.
So he's like, a shark only does something once. It doesn't do it multiple times for the same end. So he's like, I never go to my mailbox until I am ready to open the mail, pay those bills, put them where they need to go, and then move on. I never open my email until I have the time to look at every email header, find the ones that are important, and reply to those. I don't say I'll get back to that, because inevitably you don't, or it takes longer or whatever. And he's like, when it comes to my clothing, I have 2 shades of blue jeans. I have like 6 dark pairs and 6 light pairs. I have 6 blue t-shirts. I have 6 white t-shirts. I have 6 black t-shirts. He said, I just rotate those things, and there's no distraction of choice. Like you've got 3 choices here and 2 choices here, and none of them matter because they're all playing.
Right. They'll always work with, so it's like, it sounds kind of like a little bit weird to get into that, but like I'm the same way. Like I want to, like I could pull any shirt off the hanger, any pair of pants off the hanger. I'm going to look good enough for the rest of the world to tolerate me. You know what I mean? And it's all black and gray. That's just kind of like, this is one of the unique color things we got.
I had a guy tell me one time, I mean, he put it to me this way, and this is a legitimate billionaire. He said, in the time it takes me to figure out what I might wear, let's say 10 minutes, he said, I could be on a phone call that made me $100,000.
Yeah.
And I was like, what the hell? And he goes, well, one time I drove from, I can't remember, it was somewhere in New York to like St. Louis, and he took an Uber. And I was like, what the hell? He was like, well, if I took a personal jet, he said, that's going to be 25 grand, 30 grand. He said, if I fly commercial, it's going to be a 2-hour flight, 3-hour flight. He said, this way it's 12 hours in a car where I have my laptop, I have my cell phone, and I can do business for 12 hours, and it's going to cost me $2 grand. And I'm going to tip the guy $1,500 and say thanks. So that's how people that are very successful, they take shifts in things that we would be like, well, dude, I would fly the personal jet. But he made $2 million in a 12-hour car ride. Like he solidified a business deal in 12 hours and made $2 million. And he was like, I couldn't have made the phone call on the plane. I would have had a shitty chance to send emails. And he said, this deal came together really fast. So it was email, text, call, boom, it's done. And it was like, I couldn't have done any of that on the plane. On a personal jet, I would have been thinking about whatever I was going to. But in the middle of that, I gave myself enough of a window to get this done. So I find it fascinating how people with power and money rationalize the rest of the world the way that we might not. You know what I mean? Yeah. Because it's like, if your 10-minute phone call could make you $100 grand, every 10-minute window starts to mean a lot more. Like I'm saying, if that's your aim, like for us, you know, it might be an elk hunt, some kind of parallel to an elk hunt or something like that. But for them, where money is their market, 10 minutes could be $100,000. So I'm not going to spend an extra 5 minutes, 6 days a week figuring out what I wear. You know what I mean? That's $250,000 potentially.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's the work for me, the workouts. Like I've decision fatigue at the end of every single day because we have, 4 or 5 different companies that I'm involved in and just busy all the time. And so it's like, I don't need to make more decisions. In the weight room it's a space for me mentally to recover anyway. So I don't want to be thinking, so if my only job is just to drag it until I'm to the end of the driveway and then drag it back, and that accomplishes the goal I'm after, great, but to ascribe to somebody else's, crazy, whether it's fitness or it's business or it's, this get up at 4:30 in the morning, the whole Jocko thing. I was talking to our mutual friend, Josh Hall, who has, he has some land down in Mexico, and he sent me these lots, and he goes, Jocko bought one in here. And I'm like, I don't want to be anywhere near Jocko if I'm in Mexico. That's the last thing in the world I want. And he goes, man, he doesn't do that. He's like, he gets up, he reads, he drinks a cup of coffee, and then he goes to the, it's not this like wake up, push play on Metallica and then kick yourself in the face first thing in the morning, right? I think the reality behind the curtain is there's no doubt Jocko's hitting it hard every day, but like it doesn't look like wake up, and maybe it does, but I think that the reality is he probably does a good job of waking up and,
just being a normal guy. I mean, I would tell people too, I used to tell this to athletes all the time. I said, look, if weight training alone was the thing that made you the biggest and strongest, we would train 6 hours a day. You know what I mean? It's like, how can you get the most from your time, 45 minutes to an hour, and then get out of there and have everything else benefit what you just did for that hour? Like, that's more of the conversation that guys need to start having, because I see these guys, especially powerlifters, the 2 and 3 hour training sessions. And I think about it, Westside, which is kind of like the flagship of the old school powerlifting mentality. We'd have 8 guys squatting on a Friday on max effort. 8 guys, 8 sets, so 64 sets. And that would be done in under like 20 minutes, because most of the guys were like within a quarter or a plate of each other. Guys does 2 reps, he's off. Guys under 2 reps, guys under 2 reps, and it's boom, 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 boom. And there was like maybe 2 minutes in between your squats, but it was, you were moving quite a bit. And now I see guys, and they're like all prescribing, well, for max effort, you need to take 6 minutes between your lifts and have 7 nasal breaths and this, that, and the other. And the thing about that is, that's all fine and well, but I'm gonna shit talk somebody, but I'm not gonna name their name. But there's one guy right now that gets online and he literally shit talks his audience like, you guys are stupid, you guys don't know enough, you guys aren't doing this right. If you did it like me, it would be better. And he's kind of like a physique bodybuilding coach. He lied about powerlifting numbers. He said I was his friend. I'm not. He said that I was like his coach. I'm not. Never was. But anyway, he gets on there, and it's like, I'm expecting this guy to be Ronnie Coleman, because he knows more than everyone about every, scientific study related to weight training. And it's like, okay, he has abs and he has a decent build. Okay. Like, you don't qualify to talk shit to me about what you're doing as superior. And that's the thing. But these guys that are so like hungry for gains, they're actually removing any like animalistic approach to it, like where you just get fired up and train hard until you find the limits and then you back off and learn. Like, there was so much of that I think was important to the end of my career. Like, the stuff that I did early on that was stupid taught me, because if you're just trying to do the perfect thing all the time, you're never going to get outside the window where you really have to prove something to yourself. That's what drives me nuts about these like pseudo experts. When I was coming up in powerlifting, I mean, the only reason that I have any knowledge or like recognition online was because I was one of the first guys on YouTube talking about my training in depth. So people kind of like gravitated towards it. But now it's like you see the people that aren't ever going to be good at anything, and they're like, but I really love it, and here's my approach to it. And it's like, they'll have 1 million followers. You know what I mean? Like, I don't understand that. Used to, we demanded that someone have like an expert opinion or expert experience before we believed them. And now it's like, oh, you just have to be passionate and make content. It's like, no wonder people suck now. Like we're seeing amazing people do amazing things, and that's who I would gravitate to. Not to be like, I'm going to do as they do, but I'm going to learn from their journey that they always kept doing it. That's more of the goal to me, is like, never quit after your goal.
Dude, it's every time you talk, Brandon, there's like 1,000 things in there that I'm like,
do you think like the Instagram and the shorts, like and like my age, like young 30s and 20s and stuff, like people just don't see the journey, don't understand the journey piece of it. And then,
I think they're
when they get
delayed gratification
with like the reality of what it takes. And
and there isn't a journey. Guys can go viral overnight, and they didn't have that journey. Like, all of a sudden, it just boom, they're there, and then now they're trying to manage that audience, and they don't actually know what they're doing. They haven't bled enough to actually speak to it.
Well, that's what I say. I mean, if they just granted, Tyrel, if they just granted you the power to deadlift 1,000 pounds, yeah, like you're probably going to go viral. But when
Yeah.
somebody says, well, how did you do that? Well, I just walked over and picked it up. And then, okay, well, can you do more? And then you can't. Well, what's your relevance at that point? What's your worth at that point? You know, it's kind of like sometimes we take greatness for granted, and sometimes we give people the label of greatness for no reason at all. It's like, you know, somebody that hasn't gone. I mean, dude, that's one of the coolest things about. So I posted yesterday. My best deadlift was 843, and I pulled 425 in training yesterday. And the number of comments I got, like, man, I'm so stoked to see you back lifting. I'm so grateful that you're back, you know, lifting on a barbell. I can't wait to see where you go from it. So it's like I could have hidden that 425 away and been like, that's not who I am, or that's not
Yeah.
cool. But now I've shown, okay, this is where I'm at, and then people will get to see where I go. I still think the way to win online is, one, be real, but two, show, yeah, I hit these high points, but here's what it took to get there. And when people
Yeah.
see your high points as they followed along your low points, that becomes the connection point, because they're all probably somewhere on a low point right now, and they just need to believe in somebody can get there, and then they get there, and it's on and on and on. So I think social media is super destructive for people because, I mean, with the filters and stuff and the pressure that the girls are getting, I mean, just from
Yeah.
accessibility. I mean, how many guys can DM a girl? As many as want to, you know? And it's like, that's scary. Raising a daughter, I don't have a daughter, but raising a daughter would be.
Yeah.
I have
It's
an
super
18-year-old
scary.
son, and that's scary enough, because it's like the friend groups he's in are pretty good, but now he's going to college and he's going to make new friends, and he's going to be exposed to a whole different world. He's going to be exposed to people that have no background similarity or morality like we have. I mean, it terrifies me. I don't want to make it sound like a good versus evil, because social media is an amazing tool. It has so many good points, but it's just like a gun. In the wrong hands, it can be deadly. And I think at the very least, we should err on the side that it is universally destructive unless we are at war to get a benefit from it. Like in what we consume, in what we share, in what we like, like, dude, it drives me nuts. The cat goblin on Joe Rogan's comment, like, he literally says, I will never read a fucking comment ever. It's garbage. And then you'll see people who have like there's some big name people that get on there and like, oh, this is awesome, Joe. So great, Joe. Like, dude,
Yeah.
that is the worst of Instagram. You're just kind of like pilfering for
Yeah.
crumbs of some sort.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And dude, but I think that stuff, like, I'm terrible because I like some of the fail memes and some of that shit, like some of the dumb stuff too. But I never actually like it, like on the post, and I
Yeah.
only share it to like a couple of friends if it has any relevance. But some I share in my story here and there, but those are kind of like the mild ones. But still,
Yeah.
it's like it can be fun and it can be a release. Like, it shouldn't be this thing where you're militant and you just get on there and it's like, I'm fucking working, or I'm not
Yeah.
on it at all. But
Yeah.
it's like you got to just take it in doses and know what you're getting. Like, what is the reaction beyond when I put the phone down? Like, what do
Yeah.
I feel now? And if
Is
you're
it
feeling
serving
shitty,
you? Yeah.
get away from that stuff, man. Like, or at least
Yeah.
what you're taking in, you
Like
know?
nutrition, like you talked about, with like that food, right? Like, is that food going to feed me? Am I doing because I
Right.
want it or I need it? You know,
Yeah.
it's not a whole lot.
Well, I'll tell you something funny. So I was active on my personal page for all throughout COVID, and Peace Love and Meat, I would just kind of go there and post the workouts and just kind of bail, because, dude, I was afraid to say anything for a while. Like, my
Yeah.
beliefs are pretty extreme. So, you know, if I get going, I can keep going, and I just didn't want to be that guy. I didn't want to cause more divisiveness. But nevertheless, what I noticed is on my page, if I sent you my search screen right now, it would be baseball, weightlifting, football, like some kind of vintage truck shit, hunting, all that. Peace, Love, and Meat was exactly that, because when I was active on both at all times, it was like a perfect parallel. Dude,
Yeah.
without hyperactivity on the Peace, Love, and Meat page, when I go to the search reel, or did, it's changed now, but for a while, it was all tits and ass. 100% tits and ass. Because I
Yeah.
fit an age bracket, like 35 to
Yep.
43, all tits and ass. Like, not even a thing about cooking, not a thing about weight training, just as long as you could scroll, tits and ass. You know what I mean? And it just defaulted back to a default algorithm when that account kind of went silent. You know, that's bad because if you're not aware of what you're consuming, it'll feed you what you don't need.
Yep.
It's funny the time of days you see some of that too on Instagram kind of trips me out. Like like I don't know, it just feels like they hit you with like I'll get more bugles at lunchtime scrolling than and more of the asses at, you know,
at night
8 p.m., 8:30, you know.
Yeah, they're even though you think you control that algorithm, you really don't, right? They're feeding you what they want to feed you on that. And it's it's a trip. It's definitely, I mean, it's one more big thing. It's like nutrition. You definitely, if you're going to be on there and if you're in business or you do like what we're doing here with the podcast, we have to be on it because this is where people will find us. This is where people find the message. And I believe the message is good. And so it's like, can we put more good out there on that? And so it can be used for good. But Lilly, we've been on a while and I want to hear what you're up to in the woods, man. I know that's a big piece of where we're at right now. You know, on the front of center, that's kind of what, but you know, the reason we called it front of center, man, was because I wanted to have people on like you that are obviously it's simple to say, but you're leaning into life, right? But it's this like you're on your toes, you're driving, you're going. It came from the idea of an arrow where if that weight's not forward to center, that it's just not going to fly, right? And so, but dude, you're out there, you're hunting with a trad bow. It's the season has kicked off. One of these days, you're going to say yes to a Colorado elk hunt with me, and we're going to get you in these woods.
I'd love to.
And
I would absolutely love to.
You just say yes. That's all that has to happen is you say yes. We go. So that's the easy part. But where's the adventures taking you before we wrap up, man?
This year,
there's so much to learn from you, and it's a pleasure. But what do you got going on, bub?
This year is a little bit, so I'm kind of trying to do every other year, kind of take a bigger trip like Africa, Argentina, Australia, something like that. So this year is more concentrated around whitetails, Ohio public, Kentucky public. Those will just be reserved for like kicking around, feeling out trails and just learning. I try to go to public to learn a lot. And, you know, if you can get on deer when there's pressure, you can get on deer when there's no pressure for sure. So it's been kind of a mission of mine is just to keep getting better on public ground and applying what I learned to private. Got an offer to go hunt whitetail in New York. I've got an offer to hunt whitetail in Tennessee. Those are with friends of mine that have farms they're very populated with deer. It's just going to be down there and scouting a few days and then putting a plan together for a couple of days to get a good hunt in. Which I enjoy. That's awesome. I love the opportunity to get out and scout, get my glass on. Dude, I get as much joy now watching the deer before the hunt as I do when I get into the hunt. So that's been really fun. Going to Texas with Scotty Campbell down at Top of Texas and some buddy of ours for Outad in a few weeks, probably 2 weeks now. And then I really, really would love to be done with hunting by I say done with hunting, but like have successfully tagged out on the New York buck, Tennessee buck, and one of the public land bucks and the Outad. That's 4 hunts basically. By the time Thanksgiving rolls around, I would like to have achieved that because dude, I hunted right up through February last year, like every weekend. I don't do well with the cold like I used to. I mean, obviously I'm 120 pounds down from my biggest, but last year was the first year I've been this lean in hunting season, like around 10-12% body fat. And I eventually got better as it went, but dude, my hands and my feet are my biggest problem. They just absolutely freeze all the time. So if I can get everything kind of stored up by Thanksgiving, I will definitely get out and play, you know, kind of go just walk some woods after that. But it's nice to not feel the pressure of, man, I need to get an arrow and something because I've already got it done. Then it's like, okay, now I can just go out. And it's almost like the social media thing. It's like one of them is a pressure and one of them is the release. You know, like I don't have to kill anything today. I'm just going out here. My freezer's full. I might be able to give some of this to a friend, or I might be able to sharpen my stalking skills or something like that. But I want to get the work done, and then I want to go play when I want to play, you know?
Yeah, it's a relief. I had a weird year for me where I shot my bull archery on day 3. You know, I didn't really mean to. I was calling for my buddies. It was my job to kind of pull. I'd shot a bull the 2 previous years as well. And so I was like, hey, I'm good. It's hard enough out here in public land to get something down. And so I'm going to call for you guys. We'll get you set up, and sure as shit, you know, a bull walks right to me. And so I got to shoot it. So I shoot it, but it was an interesting feeling coming out of the woods, going like I've accomplished really what my yearly goal is shoot a bull with my bow if I can, you know, archery, call it a hunt. And so it has kind of been nice to like take that pressure off a little bit and kind of move into the rest of the season going like I really accomplished my main goal, my top goal, and now I can just go have some fun, chase some whitetail. I'll have a mule deer rifle tag here in Colorado. It's just a private land tag, so I don't have really good connections, so you're just kind of left calling people going, would you mind if I came out and hunted on command? But it is nice to have accomplished that, because there's been years in the past I've done the same thing where I've had up to 4 bull archery tags, and hunting literally 128 days in a row, 2 Septembers ago, and it was exhausting for me. I felt like I had no capital in the bank with my family. I felt guilty every time, was leaving again. And so it's been nice to be able to have some balance there. Although, at the same time, every sunrise and sunset through September, if I'm not in the woods, I'm thinking about Tyrel or Joel or my buddy Jay or any yoga, like anybody around the country that's like, the sun is rising. They're probably sitting on something. They're waiting for that first animal to step out of the woods, come out of the clearing or whatever. And so it's, but it was really fun to have that kind of wrapped up, and feel some level of success with that. Because for me, that's what I trained for all year long. It's not that intense. It's not a huge deal, but I had to have something to replace, that pursuit of like, well, why am I training? Well, I'm training because I'm capable in the woods. And so it's nice to have that win. But yeah, man, it's a fun time. It's a fun time of year for a lot of us in this community that like to go out and be in the woods, and see what the guys' adventures are,
Yeah. Oh, I forgot too to tell you, I got on a lease with a buddy of mine. It's a trad only lease for deer and black bear down in North Carolina.
Oh yeah.
That will be in December. I'm not a guy that can look at a bear and say that's, a 500-pound bear or a 400-pound bear or whatever. But this particular county and this particular property is in and around that area where they've had some of those 700-pound bears, 750-pound bears. I want to say that there was maybe a 600-pound bear taken pretty close, but I've got 2 right now that are pretty consistent. That is, they dwarf the big blue barrel. So I don't know what they weigh, but they're in there pretty regular. The deer on this island, it's an island, sort of. It's kind of like a peninsula, but it's got like a real skinny bottleneck that opens up into like a teardrop. All the deer in there are inbred as hell. I mean, there's not anything with a uniform antler on it. I mean, I've got one that is like a brow tine and a big 4-point over here. I've got one that is like, I sent a picture to Bert and those guys. In velvet, his bases looked like an elk. And then it turns out he's a 5-point. He's like a huge tab claw, no brow tines, and then 3 big ones over here, no brow tines. But they go up and they just sit out like this. Like there's nothing special about him. Like he would be a foal at every other place. But that's the whitetail I'll be hunting there. But it's really a bear property, but the whitetail is going to be fun. And he's a mature deer. He's like 4.5 or 5. So he's got a big belly on him. So that'll be fun because it's warm. North Carolina in December ain't too bad.
No, isn't at all. Dude, that's sick, man.
It's been fun though, man. Like just learning how it's a new species. It's just another species to consider, how they move, when they move, what they like to eat. I think if you ask me about my tombstone, love the woods, he learned the woods, and he listened to Towns Van Zandt. That'd be a good one for me. Just kind of leave it at that. But that's what I want, man. Is I just want to, I want to be able to walk into any property and feel like I have a chance. That's really all I'm looking for as an outdoorsman. I know, like Lee Ellis, friggin' Seek One, that guy, he kills everything everywhere he goes. But I just don't. I don't know that I've had enough life experience in hunting. I've done it when I was a kid in a different way. That's going on 9 years now. I've kind of been in pursuit of it with a bow. Last 4 with a trad bow, or including this season. So it's like I kind of keep evolving a little bit more, and I evolved kind of through an outfitter system, hunting with birds and different things, to where it's like now I want to hunt on the ground. Now I want to figure out these tracks and trails and signs and what this rub means and what that scrape means, and put it all together. And then now, okay, well, obviously I've learned something about bears, because where I put my camera in the barrel, we started getting really good bears, and we've got high volume of bears right now. We're seeing a bunch of sows and cubs as well as the males. So just kind of, and I may go blank, but I learned something. I will learn more this year by doing, and that's what I'm looking for. Like the other day, I was like a kid. I mean, I saw this doe out in the field opening day for Ohio, and it was awesome. I mean, just 3 does in the field like they are. 2 of them just eased off, and it left this one lone doe just like perfectly stalkable. So I edge into this thick stuff, and like a lot of times, once you get through like 8 or 10 feet of briars and grass is this tall, it opened up into like a tree bottom where it was just like muddy and leaves. So I eased through that, and I came out in the field at 160 yards from her, head down, feeding away. I've got like a 3-inch or a 3-foot bush in between me and her, and dude, I'm just belly crawling, and the wind must have switched on me. It was like 1 or 2 miles an hour, so I didn't really feel anything. But I'd already moved my bow, and I was just kind of checking for her movement, and I could see like she was still away, but I was looking for her head. And as soon as I got like right here, her head just went and snuck back around.
Yep.
And she busted me at 58.9 yards. But I was able to stand up, range her, film her, and then turn the camera off, put it in my pocket, and she stood there another 10 seconds. So I'm thinking with my compound, had I really wanted to shoot her, I probably had time. But for me, I killed my buck in Texas last year at 8 yards. I killed that public land buck in Ohio at 16 yards as he was walking to me. I shot him right in the side of the chest with the trad bow. So it's like, I'm not trying to be the guy that gets a foot from an animal necessarily, but like I do want to feel that accomplishment of getting close. And like when you get inside 25 yards of an animal,
it's incredible.
Like it's just a different thing. And that's the cool thing about the trad bow is like, especially whitetails and sand hunting, you see a whitetail stop at 32, 33 yards just shooting. But what I found with the trad bow, between 32 yards and 15 yards, there's just an encyclopedia of different behaviors that you learn and observe, and like how they'll move. And like if you're patient, it usually works out in your favor. Like, I mean, I've definitely seen them run away, but man, many times where I thought this isn't going to happen, the next thing you know, deer's coming 7 yards away, and you're like, holy shit, I just shot it. So that's been almost like a handicap that became a benefit, was having to have that patience and learning that it will happen. Like it may not happen every time, but dude, the feeling of accomplishment when you get that done is like, there's nothing. I've not felt anything better than hunting myself.
Yeah, it's a big step to take. When I'm a compound guy, and you think, I don't know, maybe not every compound guy, but I always know like there is a progression that exists in me that looks at that trad bow or a stick bow and goes, that is the next level. You can't help but admit it.
We should go on a pig hunt together, and you should take one, because this is the funnest thing that I can tell you about. So I used to have a property in Oklahoma that I hunted a lot. Tons of pigs. And that's kind of where I cut Liz's teeth in hunting, was I'd take her out there. We'd stalk them in the river bottom, stalk them in the day. But we had our best work at night. We would take a thermal and scan the field and find them, because they're always out in the field, 20 of them, 30 of them at a bunch. Thermal them, and then we'd have a big green spotlight, and the person with the spotlight would be right beside you, behind you, maybe 2 or 3 yards. And once you hit about 40 yards away from these pigs, as long as the wind's in your face, you can kind of ease that spotlight up on their hooves, and they'll kind of spin and scatter around. But once they chill back out, you just ease it up on them. And then the person over here, the shooter, edges outside of that light and stays outside of it. I shot a sow at like 2.5 feet that way. And I've shot, I don't know how many 10 yards or less that way. But that's a lot of fun. I mean, it's really, really fun, because I think stalking those pigs during the day and during the night just taught me a lot. It's like free reps, because if you shoot one and it runs in the thick stuff and you can't get it, it's a low penalty. Especially with a trad bow, you're going to have some learning curve. So I just really took an advantage to chase pigs, learn as much as I could. And that was like, well, if you can stalk a pig, and I will say I think a 3-year-old boar or older is as tough as a 5-year-old whitetail, just because of their nose. I mean, they smell everything, and they're skittish. I think that was the confidence for me, was like, if you can do that, then you can probably go after a 3.5-year-old whitetail on hoof. And that's
Yep.
ended up what happened. That whitetail I killed was probably 3.5. He made Pope and Young, but it was like opening day of rifle and the Ohio rifle season, and that pressure had pushed them into an area, and I saw 3 does split off, and I saw him bed across from them, and I just gazed around him. So it was like I got 21 yards from him. He stood up. I thought he was going to go away, and I was going to have a 22, 23-yard shot either way. Got up, walked straight to me. So it's like I wouldn't have even had the confidence to think, go in there and just set up and see what happens if it hadn't been for those pigs. And like I said, you can get so close with them, even if you've got like a month of side bow shooting in and you can hit something at 10 yards, I promise you can kill a pig.
Yeah. And it's the
excitement. It's high.
Yeah.
Well, that pig hunting's good because it's those at bats has come up a lot on the different podcasts of archery hunting at bats, especially like in elk hunting, where you just don't get very many opportunities to draw the bow back and let it fly. And so it's just that need for those at bats with live live animal, something you can get in the hunt and get used to that. Okay, I draw here, I settle in, that whole process. It's just hard. It's hard to replicate. And so, finding an animal you can hunt more than one of in a 2-year period is key if you're going to get good at it, right?
Well, that's the thing. I mean, the best week I ever had, I killed 7 in 5 days. And probably could have taken a few more. There was one time I was trying to get her on one, and dude, I'm standing there, and they're just like they're 8, 9, 10 yards from us. They can't see us, and we got like a row of grass and 2 trees, and we're just like perfectly aligned. And I'm like, shoot it. And I was like, I could have fucking killed all 3 of them by this point. Shoot it. And I look over, and her arrow is like falling off the nock. And then she's like trying to get her hand on, and she's like all nervous, and she's like, "You're making it worse."
You're making it worse.
So she ended up shooting it, but still, it's like we had a few of those moments, and it was fun. Like, because I learned a lot through coaching. I can see someone else's mistakes better than I can feel my own. So there was times I was telling her to do stuff that I would have done, and it didn't work out, but I could see why it didn't work. You know what I mean?
Right.
So that was huge for me, and it was great for her. And she's killed way more than I have in the last few years. I mean, went to Africa, I killed an impala. She killed an impala and a warthog. Go to Australia, I shoot a pig and 2 goats. She shoots 4 goats and the biggest goat in the camp. She stalked into like 11 yards and smoked it. And then she made like a big boy knock-on type shot. So this property in Australia was sick. It's like a horseshoe with a big ag field in the bottom. This side was like avalanche boulder rock on grass. This was like red rock and cliffs, and over here it was just perfectly like knee-high grasses. It was just 3 different terrains all in one, and then you had a river bottom. And, so we're up in kind of the cliffy area. It's red rock. He's on, I don't know, it's like a 30-something degree angle, straight up and down, 40-yard shot on this goat, and he's just standing there big as shit, laced it up. I mean, put it right between the shoulder blade and the neck at 41 yards with like a 30-degree angle. She's like, "Was that good?" And I was like, "Well, he's laying there dead. I think so. It's pretty sick." But that's the thing, man. She keeps me on my toes because she is aggressive. She will shoot as quick as she can get her bow drawn. She is a shooter.
Yep. Which is key, right? Like it's actually that's necessary to hunt. Is like you've got to be willing to pull a trigger.
Oh, there's times where I'm like, get ready, and she's already got the arrow out.
It's already gone. Yeah.
But that's awesome.
I love it.
It's like that's just cool to see someone who was literally, before I met her, a vegan. I won't say a vegan, but just more of like anti-hunting, didn't eat a lot of meat, to now gets the whole process. Go to freaking Molokai. Go to freaking Molokai this summer, right? And of course, we're on a side by side. Go around this bend. The front strut kind of gives out, so the wheel falls off. It's 45 minutes before first light, and it's like 4:30 in the morning. I can't call camp and be like, "Hey, the wheel fell off." So I'm like, "Look, I'll get back to camp. You go stalk a deer or go find a deer."
Yeah.
It's not an hour after sunrise. I'm like trying to turn bolts and get everything going, and I get a text message. She's like, "I did it." And I was like, "What?" No answer, no nothing. So I get to the side by side. I drive up to her, and here she comes, and she's like holding this animal skin. Like she'd killed an axis on her own, spot and stalk, and she had skinned it and wrapped the back straps, the loins, in the skin, and we were going to go get the back leg. So it was like, that was a pretty cool moment, man.
That's
to see
incredible.
how like that full circle, you know.
Yeah. And she's going, this is food, right? I'm going to feed myself with it.
That, I mean, dude, I didn't kill one. You know what I mean? Like, that's what I told her. I said, you did something very, very hard. And a free range axis with a bow, spot and stalk, you got to feel pretty damn good about yourself.
Yeah, I've heard that they're just fast. They're skittish. They just, you know what
like
I mean?
Pigs, they never stop. Like I mean, I've seen them in Texas where they just perfectly broadside stand there. But in my experience in Hawaii, they're like pigs. They're just always milling around. There's always 20, 30, 40 of them together. That was the problem with the bucks for me, was like, oh, I've got this buck dead to rights, and then there's 4 does that are just like, just calling them out. So
it's all over.
Yeah.
But I love it. Well, dude, thank you for coming on. You gave us a ton of your time, Brandon, and dude, I could talk for another hour or two. And so, man, thanks for coming on. Lots of good stuff. I appreciate you. I got nothing more to say. I mean, it's I knew it would be good. We've had some really good conversations, you and I, and it's just an absolute pleasure. I getting to sit here and just kind of have a conversation and just really chill out and just go, this is going to be good. Because you've done a lot of good stuff in life. And so thanks for being you, man. I appreciate the hell of you. Proud of you as well. Love you.
Thank you, man. Appreciate it. You too.
And we'll do this again, but I hope everybody took something good out of this. I feel like there's nothing but good in there. And so
I feel clean. I feel clean now,
Let it all out. So all right, brother. Well, we'll catch you in the next one, and we'll see you soon. Okay.
You guys be safe and stay strong.
Hey, thanks.
Thanks, man.
You too.
See you guys.